Hey there, comic book fans. I'm back from the comic shop again this week. It was a pretty big week this week with 8 comics. 7 were on my pull list, and 1 I pulled off the shelf. First, let me show you the comic, my museum comic cover of the week that I keep on top of my printer. And I went to my Judge Dredd's and pulled one off. And this one is barely featuring Judge Dredd. He's down at the bottom, all tied up. Welcome to the Cursed Earth, a Brian Boland cover. This is from the Eagle Comics reprints that they brought over in the mid-'80s, was it? I can't even remember what year it was. But they started out with the Brian Boland stuff, so that was good. But a nice cover to look at all week as it sat on top of my printer. Now I can put that away and pull out another one. The first comic I'm going to show you this week is the one I pulled off the shelf. And it's F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. Didn't know this one was coming out, just saw it there. It's adapted by Ted Adams, and Jorge Coelho, Coelho. And what actually sold this to me was the art. I liked the sort of art style. There's a little breeze, but it was the characters were. Here we go. I liked, was that Jordan? I'm a big fan of the novel, The Great Gatsby. Matter of fact, I reread it just a couple years ago and enjoyed it. I'm even a fan of the 2 movies, which Robert Redford played Gatsby, and so did Leonardo DiCaprio. And the movies are by no means great, but they're kind of glorious failures, much like The Great Gatsby himself is a glorious failure. But the name The Great Gatsby, I've always thought was ironic. So, like I said, I picked it up and I flipped. I was a little hesitant because I like the novel so much. Looks like they've put chunks of the novel in there too at different times because there's a lot of narration in the novel. So I imagine, especially at the beginning, that's the narration. It was a $5 comic also, so it wasn't cheap. And I think this came into the public domain this year. That's probably why this is out. So you can make that Great Gatsby versus Dracula comic you've always wanted to make. That's someone out there I know has wanted to make one, I bet. But that I pulled off the shelf. F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. I can't wait to see if it's any good or not, because I'm a Gatsby fan. Great. If you've never read the Great Gatsby novel, go. You can get it for $1 or $2 digitally. So go find it. And next we've got Grendel, The Devil's Odyssey, number 7 of 8. And this has kind of been like the original Star Trek. He's out there exploring space, trying to find a planet for his people to live on. And they've been mostly done in one stories, but this one was continued from last issue. He's on some planet where there he's all tied up too. Matt Wagner's writing and drawing this with, I think, his son Brennan Wagner on the colors. But this is one of the first 2-parters we got, where he's been walking this land trying to, get them to stop doing their tradition of fighting to the death for things. So we'll see if he settles here. I'm guessing not, because there's another issue to go. Then we've got Norse Mythology, Volume 2, Issue number 1. So more, this is Craig Russell adapting the Neil Gaiman Norse Mythology book. And let's see, who's drawing this one? Matt Horak is drawing this one. But I think, the layouts are done by Craig Russell, and Craig Russell is actually scripting it too. But that's how he's always worked with Neil Gaiman. He just takes Neil Gaiman's text and turns it into his own plot and script. First volume was really good. 6 issues. I'm looking forward to this next volume. And let's see, what else do we have? Radiant Black, issue number 5. And last issue, pardon me, was interesting because they kind of changed lead characters on us. Spoiler here. There's the first lead character. I think he died. I'm not sure. But his friend is now taking over this Radiant Black suit. Still not sure if he's alive or dead yet. We'll have to see. He's running over there, all excited. But according to, at least according to the story last issue, in the first issue, the one guy who's a writer in his mid-30s just moved back in with his parents in his old hometown, found this glowing orb, and it gave him this radiant black suit, which he didn't, who knows what to do with it. He didn't know, but he ended up under a collapsing building at the end of last issue, and whoever gave him the suit went to the friend and was like, "Do you want the suit?" So we'll have to see what's going on. Then we've got Resonant issue 10. I think this wraps up the story of because the first trade was 5. Yeah, this. Some nice artwork in this one, lush greens. The first arc had a different artist. Don't want to give too much away. Post-apocalyptic story. This family trying to survive. That's what this comes down to. And this is our second story arc, which I think ends here, so I don't want to give away too much to myself either. And then we've got The Silver Coin, number 3, which is funny because after The Silver Coin number 2, I was split on whether I wanted to keep with the series or not. I was like, I kind of liked it, but I think there was only 4 more. I think it's going 6 issues, so there's 4 more issues. And there's a different writer each issue with the same artist. The artist is Michael Walsh. Ed Brisson writes this one, Death Rattle. And it was the second issue was kind of an homage to slasher movies of the 80s, which I'm not a huge fan of. And like I said, I usually read my comics twice before I put them away. I read them sometime around when I buy them, then I read them sometime around a week later. And it was actually the second read-through of that second issue that made me say, okay, I'll stick around. It's funny how, I read that issue the first time, and it was just kind of like, because sometimes it's like I'm trying to figure out especially where the story's going, what it is exactly. And the second time I read through it, I didn't care what it is exactly. I was just reading it, and I enjoyed it just reading it. So after this, I'll get the next 3 issues too. So Silver Coin made it onto my pull list. Then we've got Time Before Time, issue number 2. I really liked the first issue of this, but I don't know where it's going in terms of the first issue was kind of its own story, and it was all set up. But it was really well done. It was a really good setup. But now we have to see what the actual stories are going to be. It's takes place in the future, not quite post-apocalyptic, but the future isn't as great as it could be, running out of resources and stuff like that. But they have a time machine that they somehow got from people in the future, gave them 5 or 6 time machines and instructions on how to use them for some reason. I can't remember if there was a reason or not. And so then this guy worked for the time machine company. And things happened. He ended up wanting to kind of steal the time machine so he could escape into the past. And before that could happen, somebody hijacked him and the time machine to escape into the past. So the whole setup was really well done and really good. So now that he's in the past with this, let me see if I can show you a little bit of the art. The art's this sort of moody, Mike Mignola-esque art. This looks right now. I don't remember it being this Mike Mignola-esque in the first issue, but it seems to be now. Who's doing this? What are the credits? Oh, Declan Shavely is doing the writing in McConville. Oh, Declan Shavely and Rory McConville are the writers. Joe Palmer is the artist. Chris O'Halloran is the colorist. And Hassan Atsami Ilehau is the letterer. There's all those names. But really like the first issue. I hope it holds up. Then we've got in Soggy Jimbo number 20. Always good. Ooh, I don't know who that is. A gang surrounding Usagi. Ooh, Chibi Usagi. What is that? Join the wonderful adventures of Chibi Usagi and friends as they encounter the dreadful Heebie-Chibis. Adorably written and illustrated by Julie and Stan Sakai. I've seen him do stuff like that, but man, I'm still not used to Usagi in full color. But it's always good to buying it for 30 plus years. Always got nothing but good stuff in here, so I'll enjoy that one. That was the last of the... Let me show you before I go a little bit of artwork. What do we got here? We'll start with the Dreams of Things cover I did. This is the... I did this as the same image as a big ink drawing. I'll have to bring them both out because I don't even remember what it looks like now as a big ink drawing. I'll have to put them side by side. This is just a face I drew, which I really liked, and the big ink drawing is totally different than this one. But I kind of like the way that came out. Lots of different colors on that face. And speaking of lots of different colors, I've been working on my color ink technique some more. I don't think I've quite got it down yet, but I'm liking the direction. We got this guy right here, this Ink Dream 2 and Ink Dream 1. I've just been naming them like that because I like what I did with this one, and like I can change her body shape with different colored strokes. So I found that very interesting to do. All right, you got some comics, you got some artwork. You guys have a good week out there.